the President taking the opportunity, as the Vice President did, to offer comfort and support to the people here. But more than that, they are very keen to see what sort of aid the President is prepared to offer them. We have seen the world unite around not only southeastern Turkey, but also northwestern Syria. The latest death toll has climbed well above 21,000. 20,000 also, at least 20,000 we're told, have been injured in the city that I am in. And in 1999, there was a previous biggest earthquake here in this region. It measured 7.5, forgive me, on the scale. The President just heading this way now, and it's getting more and more bumpy. I'm going to try and have a quick word with him as he comes this way. But let's wait and see what happens. 17,000 people died in 1999. As I said, the death toll here has increased to well over 20,000. And judging from the... Are you all right there, madam? Are you okay? Are you okay? It's quite a scrum here now. I'm just trying to make room for this elderly lady in front of me. President Erdogan, you're live on Sky News. We're broadcasting around the world. What would you like to say to the people who are supporting your country? Hello, President Erdogan. You're live on Sky News. Can I ask you what more support you need for your people here in southeastern Turkey? Translate for me.
Sayın Başkan, Sayın Erdoğan. Uluslararası medyada canlı yayındasınız. Ne söylemek istersiniz? Yardımlarla ilgili ne söylemek istersiniz? Uluslararası yardımlarla ilgili.
I think that's a no. So we will try and listen to what he has to say in his news conference. I don't know if you can come down to me. So I did try and speak to President Erdogan. I wasn't really expecting a response, but hey, if you don't try, you don't get. And wanted to ask him about the support that has been received from around the world right at this moment, and what more might be needed for the people of southeastern Turkey. We are going to hear from him speaking in just a moment or two. And then in addition to that, we'll be taking you to the refugee camp to see the sort of support that they still need. If you were with us this morning, you'll know that we were in a makeshift aid centre. Water had just started to arrive there. 20,000 people relying on that aid centre. All the infrastructure has gone here. We're being told that what they need more than anything is shelter. It is absolutely freezing in the evenings here at SAM. And as a result, a lot of people are anxious that what's going to happen next is that they will die of cold. I want to hear what the President has to say. I'm going to throw it back to you for now, try and get in a better position and come back to you.
Kay Burley there in really the thick of it amongst everyone there waiting for some positive news. The occurrence of that positive news coming nowhere near as thick and fast as, of course, they would be hoping. She's been trying to speak to President Erdogan there, who was making his way through the crowds. He is going to address people. We will be taking you to that as and when we can. But just a recap. Here he is addressing people there in Adiyaman. I'm not sure if we've got a translation on this yet, but we will, of course, be getting that translated so that we can play it back to you. But just a little recap of what the toll has been from that earthquake. More than 21,700.
OK, we can translate that for you. We can translate that. Go. Can you hear what he's? Can we hear what he's saying? Let's turn it up so that she can hear it.
Önceki gün depremin merkezi olan Kahramanmaraş ile Hatay ve Adana illerimizi ziyaret ederek oradaki
Kahramanmaraş, Adana were the places I have been visiting,
Gaziantep,
and also Antep.
Osmaniye ve
I know what the situation is.
Orada yine
Yesterday I went to
tespitlerini yaparak
Gaziantep, Kilis, and Osmaniye
depremzede kardeşlerimle
and see the situation
bir
over
arada
there.
olduk.
I
Şimdi
talked to the victims of the
Adıyaman'dayız
earthquake.
ve buradan da biraz sonra
We are
Malatya'ya
here in Adiyaman,
hareket edeceğiz. Öncelikle
and
Adıyaman'a
afterwards I'm going to go to
ve tüm
Malatya from here.
Adıyamanlı kardeşlerime başsağlığı diliyorum. Yaralılarımıza Rabbimden
My best
acil
condolences for
şifalar
my brothers in
temenni
Adiyaman.
ediyorum. Yaşadığımız acıyı tarif etmekte kelimelerin kifayetsiz kaldığını
It is
gayet
not
iyi
possible
biliyorum.
to explain the grief we
Maalesef
have.
son tespitlere
I know words
göre
are not enough.
10 ilimizde hayatını kaybeden vatandaşlarımızın
Unfortunately,
sayısı 18.991'e
the
yükseldi.
death toll in 10 different
Kurtarılanların
cities
sayısı
is over 1900, 19,000.
75.523'e ulaştı. Ayrıca bölgeden
At least we have
76.000
saved
üzerinde vatandaşımız
75,000 people.
talepleri üzerine ülkemizin diğer illerine tahliye edilmiştir.
We have
gönderilmiştir.
evacuated
Adıyaman'da ise
7,600
yıkılan
people to other cities
1944
than the
binada
earthquake area.
3.225 vatandaşımız vefat ederken 12.432 vatandaşımız da
In Adiyaman there are
yaralı
more
olarak
than
kurtarılmıştır.
3,000 people
Vefat
dead,
eden kardeşlerime
14,000 people
rahmet
injured.
diliyorum. Biliyoruz ki bizim inancımıza
I
göre
pray for
bu
my
tür
dead
afetlerde
citizens
vefat
in
edenlerin
Adiyaman.
makamı
For our
şehadettir,
belief,
şehitliktir. Depremde hayatını
for our
kaybeden
belief, the
tüm
victims of the
kardeşlerimizin
earthquake
yakınları
are
itibariyle
very religious
söylüyorum.
and very high.
İnşallah bu binaların hepsini
All the family members
bir yıl
of the ones
içerisinde
we lost in earthquake.
yetiştirmekte kararımız
I'm
var.
talking all the family to all the
Gerek
family
bakanımıza,
members who lost
gerek
anyone
ilgili
in the earthquake.
birimlerimize bu konuda
All the
gerekli
houses
talimatları
will be built
verdik.
up in 1 hour, in
Deprem
1
anından
year.
itibaren devletimiz tüm kurumları, personeli, teçhizatı,
After
araç
the earthquake,
gereçleriyle arama
our
kurtarma
government
ve yardım
organized everything
faaliyetleriyle
with all the
alanda
equipment,
olmuş.
teams, rescue
Depremin
teams.
yıkım etkisi 10 ilimize
We were
ve
on the area.
500 kilometrelik bir alana yayıldığı için işimiz
The earthquake
maalesef
affected
çok
10
zor.
cities and 500
Buna bir de
kilometers
bölgede
area.
ilk müdahaleyi ve organizasyonu yapacak kamu görevlilerinin çoğunun ya kendisinin ya ailesinin yıkımlar altında
The
kalması
problem
da
with the organization
eklenmiştir.
was that every authority
Bölgenin
has
yakın dönemde
his own
rastlamadığımız
families
şiddette
and
bir
himself
kış yaşıyor
also
olması
affected
da
by the
bir diğer
earthquake,
engel olarak
so that they
karşımıza
couldn't work.
çıkmıştır. Yolların bir kısmı depremin yol açtığı yıkıntılar. Bir
A
kısmı
cold
hava
winter
şartları,
weather is
bir kısmı
also
da
another
dışarıdan
big
gelen
problem for us.
ve içeride yoğunlaşan araçlar
So the
sebebiyle
roads were closed
ciddi
due to
bir
the weather
trafik
issues.
yüküne maruz kalmıştır. Tüm bu
We have a lot of
olumsuzluklara rağmen
traffic coming
milletimizle
towards the
birlikte
cities.
devletimizin
Although we
tüm
have so many
imkanlarını
negative points,
deprem bölgesine AFAD'ın
we
koordinesinde
have organized
yönlendirdik.
all of
Ülkemizin
our
diğer
work
tüm şehirlerindeki
to
kamu
AFAD
imkanlarını
to organize
deprem
everything,
bölgesi için
to coordinate everything.
harekete geçirdik. Afet bölgesi ve
All
olağanüstü
of our
hal
country, all of our
ilanı kararı
countries'
aldık.
help is with these
Bununla
people in the earthquake area,
bazı
and then
maalesef
only that's why
kendini
we
bilmezler soygun
we
yapıyorlar.
announced and state of
Marketleri
emergency. The voice
soyuyorlar.
is getting up.
İş yerlerine saldırıyorlar. Bazıları da maalesef suistimaller peşinde
We declared
koşuyorlar.
a state of emergency
Olağanüstü hal ile
because
devlet
there are a
bu
lot of
konudaki
provocation,
yetkileri eline
thieves,
almış
stealing.
ve bundan
We
sonraki
know where the
süreçte
issue is,
bu
but
suistimalleri
our government
yapanlar
will do its
yakalandığı
best
anda
to
bunlara
prevent
gerekli olan müeyyideler uygulanacak.
and to find the people who do harm
Tabii
to the
bu
victims of
süreçte
the
bazı
earthquake.
eksiklikler, aksaklıklar da yaşanmıştır. Ama devletimiz ve milletimiz tüm
Of course, we
imkanlarıyla
have some difficulties and
depremzedelerin
negatives
imdadına
during this
koşuyor.
period,
Örneğin Adıyaman'da
but you have to believe me
andan
that we are
itibaren
beneath our victims of the
Ulaştırma
earthquake.
Bakanım Adil Bey burada olmuştur. Ardından daha sonra
One of my minister
Mehmet
was
Uç
in
Bakan'ın
Adiyaman
da
on the
buraya
first day.
oradaki görevi bittikten sonra gelmiş
Another minister
ve
was
iki
in
bakanının
Kilis.
riyasetinde burada çevre illerden, değişik illerden
The other
gelen
minister came to Adiyaman too after one day,
birlikte buradaki çalışmalar yürütülmeye
and they
başlanmıştır
worked
ve yürüyor.
together with the mayors and
Her zaman
organized
önceliğimiz
everything here in
İnsan
Adiyaman.
olmuştur, can olmuştur. Ve bizim bunu istismara
Our main
fırsat
our main
vermeyeceğimiz
priority
ve bu
is
konudaki
human.
samimiyetimiz kimse tarafından
We will not
Allah'ın
allow
izniyle
any
sorgulanamaz.
discrimination. We are very
Bunun için
honest and telling the truth.
ülkemizdeki resmi sivil tüm arama kurtarma ekipleriyle dünyanın dört bir yanından gelen arama kurtarma ekipleriyle
Civil or
bu
governmental
çalışmalar
rescue teams
sürüyor.
and also
Şu ana
international
kadar
rescue teams
94 ayrı ülkeden gelen
are working
yardım
on the
teknikleri
area very hard.
çerçevesinde ekipler ülkemize gelmeyi sürdürüyor.
We have become
Yıkım
94
öylesine
different
büyük bir
countries
alanda,
help,
öylesine
and the
çok
teams
binayı
are still
etkilemişti
coming.
ki yaklaşık 30 bini eğitimli
The area
arama
affected
kurtarma
by the
personeli
earthquake
olmak
is
üzere
so huge.
141 binden fazla
There are more
kişiyle
than
belki de dünyanın en
30,000
büyük arama kurtarma
people
ekibini
working
bölgeye
on the area.
toplamamıza
For the
rağmen
rescue teams, I can
maalesef
tell
müdahaleleri arzu ettiğimiz hıza
140,000 people are working on the
ulaştıramadığımız
area.
bir gerçektir.
I'm so
Milletimiz
sorry
şahittir
that
ki,
we cannot rescue
değerli
very
kardeşlerim,
quickly as possible.
bakanlıkları, belediyeleri ve diğer tüm kurumlarıyla devletimizde hangi görüşten olursa olsun tüm
All the
sivil
ministry,
toplum kuruluşlarımızda
municipalities,
deprem
mayors
bölgesi
are
dışındaki
working all together
vatandaşlarımızın
with civil
her biri,
NGOs also.
dünyanın dört bir yanından dostlarımız
And the civil donations,
kardeşlerimizle
every citizen of
depremzedelerimizin
Turkey
yanında olmak için var
And
gücüyle gayret
and our
göstermiş.
friends from all over the
Yıkımın
world,
nispeten sınırlı
we
kaldığı
all try,
Şanlıurfa
we all
ve
trying
Kilis
to stand by the
illerimizde
victims of the
arama
earthquake.
kurtarma çalışmaları tamamlanmış, enkaz kaldırma çalışmalarına
In
geçilmiş.
Şanlıurfa and in
Diğer
Kilis,
illerimizdeki arama kurtarma
which are the
çalışmalarını
cities that is less affected
altında
than the
insan olan
others,
hiçbir bina
the
bırakmayacak kararlılıkla
rescuing work is
sürdürüyoruz.
finished.
Şunu özellikle
In
ifade
the other
etmek isterim.
cities, we try
Bir
our
yıl
best
içerisinde
not to leave
inşallah
anybody under the
Bu yıkılan
rubbles.
binaları yeniden elimizdeki tip
I am
projelerle
assuring you
inşa edecek
that we all gonna
ve
build up all the
sahiplerine
buildings in
teslim
one year.
edeceğiz. Bu arada 10'ar bin
We're
lira
gonna build everything new and give
vatandaşlarımıza
them to their owners.
vereceğiz. Bütün bunların yanında
Additionally,
çadırlarda
we
kalmayan,
will give
kalmak
10,000
istemeyen
Turkish liras to
vatandaşlarımıza
each
da
family.
kira bedelini ödemek suretiyle konutlara geçmelerini sağlayacağız.
Our citizens
İster
who doesn't
Adiyaman'da
want to stay in a tent or in a container,
gidilebilecek
we
konutlar
will
varsa
pay
oralarda
their
kira olarak
rent in
veya
Adiyaman
farklı illere
if there is any
geçmek
place
suretiyle
left, or
farklı
in another
illerde
city
de
we're gonna pay their
kiralama
rent.
suretiyle bir yıl itibariyle buralarda
They can go to a
benim
different city.
vatandaşlarım kalabilecek.
We will pay
Bu
for
arada da
one.
biz
We
inşallah
will pay for
buradaki
one year.
konutları inşa etmiş olacağız, yapmış
We will
olacağız.
pay for one year for their
Tabii bütün
rent.
bunlarla deprem
In the
bölgesinin
meantime,
her
we're gonna
yerinde
build Adiyaman again with new
arı
buildings.
gibi çalışan ekiplerimizin, kamu
In all of the area
görevlilerimizin,
of
sivil
earthquake
toplum
area.
mensuplarımızın, gönüllülerimizin gayretine sahibiz.
The
Gençlerimizin deprem
volunteers, the
bölgesindeki
officers, the
çalışmalara
workers for
yardımcı
all
olmak
around the
için
area, we are
nasıl
very grateful and
çırpındığına
thankful.
bizzat şahidiz.
We are
Aynı
grateful and
şekilde
thankful to our
deprem
youth
yıkıntısı
who are
altında
cooperating
kalmasına
with all
devam eden
with all
artçı
the teams.
sarsıntılar sebebiyle evine girememesine rağmen milletimizin de metanetine bizzat şahidiz. Allah milletimden razı olsun.
Despite the shock, despite the
Bu
fear
millet
of the aftershocks,
mütevekkil bir millet.
despite they lost everything,
millet
I'm very
bu tür
grateful for
belaları,
my citizens
felaketleri
to stand
çok
all
yaşadı.
together.
Ama hepsinde de kendileriyle
This nation
20
has so
yıllık
much grief in the
iktidarımız
past.
döneminde hep baş başa kaldık. Ve bunları Van'da yaşadık.
In
Bingöl'de
our
yaşadık.
20 years
Aynı
government,
şekilde Elazığ'da yaşadık.
we know what
Malatya'da
we've
yaşadık.
been
Aynı
going
şekilde
through.
yine Giresun'da yaşadık. Kastamonu'da
We
yaşadık.
had the same thing
İzmir
in Elazığ, in
depreminde
Malatya, in
yaşadık.
Kastamonu, in
Şu anda aklıma
Giresun.
gelmeyen
In
tüm
Izmir earthquake, we had
deprem
the same.
felaketiyle sarsılan illerimizde hep kendileriyle
There
bir
are,
arada
there are
olduk.
a lot of
Ve
earthquake
verdiğimiz
disasters
sözü
we
verdiğimiz
had
zamanda
in the
yerine getirerek
past that I cannot
konutlarını
remember now.
kendilerine teslim ettik.
But we always
Şimdiden
held our promises.
hazırlıklara başladık. Gerek bakanıma, gerek TOKİ'ye gerekli talimatları vererek rezerv alanlarının tespit edilerek buralarda süratle
I have been given
inşaatların
all
başlatılmasını,
the directives
enkazların da bir
and all the
taraftan
rules to my
kaldırılması
managers
talimatını
and
verdik.
ministers and everybody else
Bu
who is
arada
responsible
Tabii
that the buildings
değişik yerlerden
will be made
mevcut
new as soon as
otellerde
possible.
iskan
Here in
talepleri
Adiyaman
var.
and all the other cities.
Burada da eğer vatandaşlarımız oralara yerleşmek isterse bu konuda da oralarda kendilerini iskan edebiliriz.
There are some
Hava
questions if
yollarımız,
they're gonna stay
diğer
in some
hava
hotels
yolları,
or not.
hem
If the
giden
Adiyaman
yardım
citizens
ekipleri,
wants to do
hem
so, we
oradan
can arrange
gelecek
that.
depremzedeler için bölge ile ücretsiz, bunun altını çiziyorum.
The,
Türk Hava Yolları ücretsiz olarak gideni de geleni de getirmek
The Turkish
durumundadır.
Airlines
Bunların da gerekli
will
talimatı
provide
kendilerine
enough flights
verilmiştir.
for
Bundan da
everybody for
ekranları
going
başında bizi
out
izleyen
of the
milletin
earthquake area
haberdar
or
olsun.
coming to the earthquake
Seyyar
area
mutfaklar, aşevleri,
for free.
gönüllüler aracılığıyla depremzedelere ve yardım ekiplerimize sıcak yemek sağlıyoruz. Ordumuz, polisimiz, jandarmamız,
We are providing
gerek
food
güvenliğin temini,
for everybody
gerekse
on
yardım
the area,
faaliyetlerinin
not only for
yürütülmesinde
victims
aktif
but also for the
rol alıyor.
workers and volunteers. We
Halihazırda Türk
provide
Silahlı
food
Kuvvetlerimiz
per
ile diğer
field
güvenlik
kitchens.
birimlerimize ait 26 gemi, 75 uçak, 81 helikopter. Ayrıca her çeşitten 12.000'den fazla
26
iş
ships,
makinası gece gündüz demeden
70
bölgede
helicopters,
çalışıyor. Tabii
more than 50
bu arada
work machines and
ben
diggers
halkımdan, tüm
are working in
vatandaşlarımdan
this area.
gerek deprem bölgesinde gerek bölge dışında
Citizens
hangi kurum ve
here
kuruluş olursa
in
olsun,
the earthquake area
hangi
or
siyasi
in the other cities.
olursa olsun, lütfen bunlara inanmayın.
Do not allow any provocations.
Böyle bir zamanda,
Do
böyle
not
bir
believe
durumda,
them.
birlik ve beraberliğin olması gereken bir zamanda bunu istismar edenlere,
We have to stand
prim
together in
çünkü bu
such a
millet
period.
asildir, bu tür soysuzlara da gereken cevabı inşallah gerekli zamanda verecektir.
There are bad people and talking bad things about our nation, and we will give
Şu
the
anda
right answer to them when it's time.
Ülkemizin dört bir yanından ve yurt dışından deprem bölgesine yardım malzemeleri yağıyor. Allah bu yardımları gönderen herkesten razı olsun.
Now, from
Deprem
all over the
bölgesindeki
country
yardımların
and all over
belirli
the
bir
world,
plan içinde
we are becoming
gönderilmesi
donations
ve
and
dağıtılması
humanitarian aid.
gerekiyor.
We are very
Aksi takdirde
thankful
verilen
for
emekler
this.
heba olur gider. Buradan tüm vatandaşlarıma
We will
tekrar
try our
sesleniyorum.
best to.
AFAD'la veya bölgede yardım faaliyeti yürüten
I'm done.
Kızılay başta olmak
we are
üzere
we are
diğer
trying our
kurumlarla
best
irtibata
to give all the
geçmeden
aid to the
lütfen
people who need it.
rastgele yardım toplayın ve toplayıp yola çıkarmayın.
Please take contact
Çünkü şu anda
always with
bölgede
AFAD
en büyük problem
for the
dışarıdan
support,
gelen on
for
binlerce
gaining money,
aracın yol açtığı trafik ve bunların taşıdığı
and
yardımların
distributing all the aid
lojistiğinin
coming from all over the
sağlanmasıdır.
world. You have to
Temel
contact AFAD
ihtiyaçlar
first.
konusunda
Do
herhangi bir
not collect
sıkıntı
money
yaşanmadığını
or make a
biliyoruz.
campaign without the
Önümüzdeki
permission of
günler,
AFAD.
haftalar ve aylar boyunca sürecek ihtiyaçların planlı
In the
ve
coming
bilinçli
days,
bir yardım
weeks and
faaliyetiyle
months,
karşılanması çok önemlidir.
we have to plan everything
yardımların
and organize everything to
elinden
distribute
yapılması,
all the donations
istismarları ve
and humanitarian
tereddütleri
aid.
ortadan kaldıracak bir yöntemdir. İş dünyamızdan milletvekillerimize, öğrencilerimizden esnaflarımıza kadar her kesimden insanımızın
To our finest
AFAD
world,
hesaplarına
to our
yaptıkları yardımların her
parliamentarians,
kuruşu
to our
deprem
university
bölgesindeki
students,
faaliyetler
to
için
everyone who donate
harcanmaktadır.
money
Yüz
to the
binlerce
AFAD
konutuyla,
bank accounts,
altyapısıyla, üst
I assure
yapısıyla
them
şehirlerimizin yeniden
all the
inşası
money will go to
sürecinde
the
de
earthquake
devlet
area to the
hazinesinin
people
yanı
who need
sıra
it.
hem milletimizin hem de dünyanın desteğine ihtiyacımız olacak. Gönlü zengin herkesin kendi
We will
imkanınca
need the
yapacağı
support
katkıyla
of our
bu
nation, of
süreçte
every citizen
devletin
of our
yanında
nation,
yer
and also the
alacağından
whole world.
şüphe duymuyorum. Devletimiz daha önce
I hope
tekrar ediyorum.
every of my
Elazığ,
citizens will
Malatya,
stand
İzmir
with
ve Van'daki
her or
depremlerde,
his government.
Antalya ve Muğla'daki yangınlarda, Kastamonu,
In
Sinop,
Elazığ, Malatya,
Bartın ve Giresun'daki
in
sellerde,
Izmir, the
velhasıl
earthquakes,
diğer
and
afetlerde
the big
yaraları en
in
kısa
the big
sürede
fires in the
sardıysa
southern Turkey.
inşallah burada da aynısını yapmaya muktediriz.
Okay.
Bu çerçevede ilk etapta AFAD acil
We have
yardım
covered all the
ödeneğinden
wounds of all the
İnşallah
disasters in the
az önce
past,
ifade
and we're going to
ettiğim
do the same now.
destekleri vereceğiz. Ve
We will
hane
support
başına
everyone, I assure you.
taşınma yardımıyla birlikte
It's gone. The voice. No. I'm only the translator. I'm giving the mic away. She's telling about.
meydan vermeyecek şekilde bu yardımları giderek yaygınlaştırarak sürdüreceğiz. Milletçe bir bu imtihanın da üstesinden alnımızın akıyla geleceğimize kapsamlı bir program hazırlıyoruz. Milletimiz deprem yıkıntıları altında inlerken yağmacılık yapanlara da
speak to his people here gathered at the sports arena at the university. He says that, amongst other things, that he has been telling us. Oh, let me just show you these pictures, live pictures from Istendian. I think if someone can describe the pictures to me. It's a rescue operation that is going on as we speak.
Gerek Adiyaman'da, gerekse diğer illerimizde
They are still pulling people out of that rubble alive. Okay, let's replay those pictures for you, should we? This is Stendian. This is someone being stretchered from the rubble. They've been under that rubble since the early hours of Monday morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, just after when the first earthquake struck. I'm just going to pause so you can look at these images in a bit more detail. That rubble, I can just see some images now actually. The yellow and blue helmets will be the official recovery teams, waving to the crowd and illustrating that this person is still alive. The golden time for earthquake survival is long since gone now, but on occasion we are still seeing these images where people are being brought alive from the remains of what was once their homes. Most people would have been sleeping when this earthquake hit at about just after 4 o'clock, as I was saying, in the morning, waving at the crowd to say he's fine, he's doing okay. Many had thought it was turning into a recovery operation, but not for this man. He lives to fight another day. Hani Habal is with me. Hani, Mike, he's thanking the rescuers who managed to pull him alive out of this rubble. Goodness me, we're not expecting this at this late stage, are we? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I was just asking you about the fact that we have seen this man being pulled alive from the rubble of what was once his home. And, you know, given that it's now almost 5 days since the earthquake struck, very, very unusual for this to happen.
Yeah, so I can say that devastation is beyond words. Virtually every village in northwest Syria and every life has been impacted. I'm sadly confirmed that 3 of our staff have passed away uh, during the previous 5 days.
I'm not sure if we have lost your comms at the moment. So as we continue to look at these images, can still see you, can still hear you. Sorry, I lost you for just a moment, so do carry on.
Yeah. So I was saying that devastation is beyond words. Virtually every village in northwest Syria and every city in South Turkey have been damaged. Every life have been impacted. Can you hear me?
Listen to the applause as this... Yes, I can hear you. Please do carry on. We can hear you. There's no need to pause. We are very interested in what you're saying, so do carry on.
Okay, so across Syria, traumatized families have been spending over 50 hours out in the freezing cold as they are afraid to stay in buildings that are under the risk of collapsing. The death toll rises by a minute. We are in a race against time to find survivors, provide warm food, shelter, and medical aid. So actually, till the moment, thankfully, the rescue mission is still going on, and the rescue team are able to find more survivors.
Yeah, and as we're speaking to you, sir, I'm being told by the team that a second person has been pulled alive from the wreckage of this apartment building. Almost unbelievable. More cheers. More celebrations from those that have been digging for days and days to try to find anybody that may still be trapped beneath these mounds of rubble. We have stood next to several collapsed buildings over the last few days. Sadly, the rescue workers, despite their best efforts, have not been rewarded by scenes like this. But thankfully, it looks like a lady this time, has been brought out of this wreckage alive. I was speaking to the former Turkey ambassador to the UK earlier on today, and he was saying what's most needed now is not food or water, but protection from the elements. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I do really agree with that, and this is the context of Turkey, but we have to also consider the situation of northwest Syria, where people are really devastated and they are really in need of basic needs, food items, NFI, medical aid. That's totally different context. The country have been devastated with the 12 years war, and all of the infrastructure was already destroyed within the 12 years of war.
Indeed so, and we have even heard stories that a town just outside of Aleppo, shortly after, just a few hours after the earthquake struck, was bombed by the Assad government, these poor people. I wonder if you have a view on that, sir.
Sorry?
Yeah, I was asking you about the fact that a town just north of Aleppo was bombed by the Assad regime just shortly after the first earthquake. I wondered if you had a view on that.
I have no idea about it.
Okay. We must leave it there for now, but thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Huge surprise within the last few hours as you continue to look at these images. I can tell you that President Erdogan has arrived here in Adiyaman, was not expected at all. He has arrived at the university, the sports arena at the university did try and shout a question or two to him, not particularly interested in speaking to foreign press, but he did make his way, having spent some time with those that have been struggling so much as a result of this devastating earthquake, more than 21,000 people now having died. He took time to speak and to comfort a grieving woman. He went into one of the tents here that are housing up to 3 families, up to 25 people expected to share a tent, at least for now. He came out, went to the podium and addressed that. He said, we'll rebuild this city. If there are buildings left in the city, the government will pay for people's rent for a year until their new homes are built for them. In our 20 years government, we know what we've been going through. We've had the same before. We've had a lot of disasters in the past, but we always held our promises, is what President Erdogan said to the people here and the wider world. Of course, there are elections coming up in May, although there is a 3-month state of emergency, which will take us to more or less the date of the election. He said buildings will be rebuilt as soon as possible right across Adiyaman. He said if citizens want to stay in a hotel, we can arrange that. Seeing the devastation and destruction that we've witnessed over the last few days, I would be surprised if that was an option for so many of the people here. Lots of people here are living in their cars, living on the streets, or indeed living in these tented communities or in containers that have been brought down to the area. Helicopters, heavy lifting equipment, he said, are also being used to help the people here. He talked about the size of the area that has been affected by the earthquake. In Turkey, we're talking about, not in Syria, which equates, if I could do this for you, to about the size of the United Kingdom. He said we're providing food for everyone, victims, workers. We are providing field kitchens, and we've certainly been witnessing that over the last couple of days. He talked about Turkish Airlines. He's saying they will pay for enough flights for people to evacuate the disaster zone areas for free. But what people need more than anything at the moment is to be able to have some shelter from this bitter winter. He talked about those who are offering provocation. He said, we stand together. Do not believe what they are saying, as we look at more rescue pictures from earlier. He says there are bad people talking bad things about our nation. We'll give them the right answer when it is time. We're getting donations and aid from all over the world to that end. That's certainly the case. More than 90-odd countries have been offering support. Azerbaijan, probably the biggest donator at this stage. Azerbaijan suffers with the earthquake threats very often as well, so also very close politically to Turkey, so they have been offering significant support. The UK too, we know initially that rescue workers with dogs did come into the region. Just pausing for the applause. These are the latest pictures from Iskenderun, where we saw 2 people pulled alive within the last little while. I think we can hear latest pictures where they're pausing for more sound. Okay, so they were pausing, hoping that they may be able to hear more people in the wreckage of that apartment building. It doesn't appear that is the case, though 2 people we saw within the last few moments pulled alive successfully from this building. A moment of joy and relief for the rescue workers who've been working, toiling for hours and days to try to reach those trapped under the rubble. President Erdogan visiting here to see some of those that have been successful in getting out of their properties destroyed, and they're now living in this tented community here. He said, he went on to say, finally, we're getting donations and aid from all over the world. We are very thankful for this. We're trying to give aid to whoever needs it. As far as President Assad is concerned, in northwest Syria, he has been meeting people in hospital over the last few hours. We'll have a look at those pictures for you as well as we continue to see these live images from what's left of this destroyed apartment block. This is in Istrem. These are live images, pausing again to see if they can hear anything within the wreckage. Okay. As people start to move around again, that would suggest from experience that they are not hopeful. The sounds that they might have heard are indeed from people within this building, maybe a creaking as it moves from side to side. Ezra is standing by for us on the border. I think you have some images for us, do you not, of President Assad?
This convoy behind us that is now being allowed to enter rebel-held Syria in the northwest is one of the first convoys with specifically focused earthquake relief items. Now, this is not happening in coordination with the Assad regime. This is happening in coordination with the interim government operating in rebel-held areas, opposition to Assad's regime. And this convoy is from Kurdish Iraq. Now, we've been at this border for the last 2 days, speaking to people eager to get in and help. This is our report. Volunteers in Idlib are doing what they can with what they have. Cut off from the world and international rescue efforts. This man begs the international community to help with a breaking voice. Some of those who responded to us yesterday are dead today, he says. This site is just one of many in a war-torn country further flattened by these earthquakes. This volunteer says there are around 500 families buried under this rubble, women and children, and they don't know who is dead and who is alive. Blankets are used as body bags, and this small bundle carried out of the wreckage tells the story of a tragic end to a short life. But there are still miracles at play. The newborn baby pulled out from under a collapsed building, still attached to her mother, now has a name. The doctors have called her Aya. It alludes to the sign of a miracle, a Quranic revelation straight from God. The first few trucks carrying aid to Syria finally made it through the Bab al-Hoa border point. But many say that it's too little, too late. All other crossings are currently excluded from the United Nations cross-border agreement with the Assad regime. This is a border crossing into northwest Syria, only an hour away from Aleppo. And over the last 11 years of war, it's seen millions pass through into Turkey seeking refuge. And now many Syrians are moving back that way into the country to help with rescue efforts. Anxious, like these men here, anxious to make it through and help. He tells me he sees no reason why the world isn't rushing in to support Syria. I ask about the sanctions, and they say they shouldn't be enforced on the people. He points in the direction of Turkey and then back to the border. They're still finding survivors. What about us, he says. There's no state. There's nothing. As they wait to get in, a truck goes back and forth, taking the bodies of Syrians home to be buried, and then back into Turkey to retrieve some more. Yusra al-Baghir, Sky News, Kilis, Turkey. So we have been here for the last 2 days, and we managed to speak to the Prime Minister of Syria's interim government that is in charge with ruling rebel-held areas. Now, he spoke to us, Abdurrahman Mustafa, and says that the Assad regime is an opportunistic regime, that they're exploiting this crisis to hoard aid. And that's exactly what we've seen over the last few days. We've seen the Assad regime ask that all aid be funneled through Damascus. There's only one border crossing that they currently are using with the UN, Bab al-Hawa, to allow through. And now the interim government under Abdurrahman Mustafa is using this border crossing to get aid in from Kurdish Iraq. And he told us that he has aid coming in from Saudi Arabia and from Qatar that's expected to land in Gaziantep airport. Now, we just saw a convoy of earthquake-specific relief items finally make it through into rebel-held areas, and the interim government Prime Minister Abdurrahman says that the areas under his jurisdiction are the ones that are most impacted and need the most help from the international community.
Well, this morning, President Assad made his first public appearance since the earthquake 4 days ago. He and his wife, Asma, visited Aleppo University Hospital to speak with people who had been injured in the earthquake. And these were the images that we saw. Hundreds of thousands of people are now homeless in the middle of winter as a result of the earthquake's. 10 cities springing up to accommodate survivors. And while some indoor shelter is available, few are taking it up, not just in Syria, but also on this side of the border in southeastern Turkey as well. We were at one of those centres earlier on today. Siobhan went inside the sports hall to see what was happening.
So we've come inside to the hall here just to show you some of the areas where people are sleeping. Some people still actually asleep now, and these are people who've lost their homes, really getting what they can on makeshift mattresses here. But there is a big problem because lots of people who've lost their homes don't want to come in here, and you can see why. You can see some of the bricks here have fallen onto the floor, and people are concerned that they've already survived 2 earthquakes, and they're really worried that if there was another one, that this whole building could come down. So some people just aren't risking it, and they're determined to sleep elsewhere, in their cars, outside, or in tents.
Yeah, and also they just can't go home again. In fact, one lady that we spoke to this morning, when the earthquake struck, she wrapped her arms around her children. 90 seconds that quake went on for. As soon as it stopped, she ran out of her apartment building. Then she realised the keys to her car were still left inside. She went back, leaving the children with neighbours in order to grab the keys, and she has been living in her car ever since. The heating is not working in the vehicle, and they are desperate for help and support. President Erdogan talking about that in his broadcast just a few moments ago, suggesting that whoever does not have accommodation will be able to rent apartments or be able to stay in a hotel. Having seen the devastation here in this city, 75% of it is damaged, the other 25% completely destroyed. So I'm not sure where they're going to be staying, but the president is pretty confident about that. So let's wait and see how that develops. A lot of support from overseas. The president thanking people right around the world for their help and support. UK charities have launched an appeal to raise urgent funds to help people affected by the earthquakes. The Disasters Emergency Committee's appeal has received the backing of the Prince and Princess of Wales, and it's gained the support of celebrities such as...
The rubble continue. The big challenge ahead is to help the millions who have survived it. The humanitarian situation is expected to get worse in the coming days. Countless injured need vital medicine or hospital care, and those now homeless face the freezing winter without any shelter, food, or clean water. Whatever you can manage, every penny will make a difference. So please, donate now. Their trauma cannot be undone, but we can and we must help.
Well, if you would like to make a difference to the lives of people here and in Syria, you can donate online at dec.org.uk or by calling the 24-hour donation line. Details are on your screen now. We are being told that every penny that is being donated will help. Meanwhile, thousands of thermal blankets were sent to Turkey on an RAF transport plane. They were sent last night, arrived this morning. The Ministry of Defence has also confirmed that the UK will provide a field hospital and critical 24/7 care and air support in the next few days. That means basically helicopters taking people away from here to areas where they can get more support. And a reminder, you can watch a special documentary, Disaster Zone, the Turkey-Syria earthquake, 9:30 tonight here on Sky News.